find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nuhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down in towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Hello everybody and welcome to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben here, the shortened layout for just 2.4 kilometres around this German racetrack. Hello everybody, welcome to TSRC F4 Sprint for season number 2. We're heading towards the third round of our championship and heading to one of the shorter circuits on the calendar. It's a new commentary team. Myself, Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt alongside me for this week. And a changed layout, as I say, James. Not a layout that's been on the iRacing platform for very long anyway, but this layout is even less used. Just such a short length of time. The lap times around here, and the best lap times we're about to see in qualifying, will be sub 1 minute times.
Yeah, it's very short. Very sharp, very quick, 8 corners, and that is it. There's not a lot to it. So it's going to be how these drivers are going to contend with. Obviously, they've got a 15-minute heat 1, and they've got a 25-minute feature heat with a top 10 inverted. So they're going to have to try and get that top 10 if they can going into race 2.
Let's have a look at the championship standings going on into today, and it's very close at the top of the order. Jamie Nuttall and Jack Southfield both on the same amount of points. Kieran Sharp and Tom Davidson leading the charge behind, with Frank Porte-Ruiz in 5th place. Then we've got Oren Full in 6th, ahead of Verdi Rombots and Hayden Miller, both tied on 104 points for 7th. Václav Volodia is 9th, ahead of Guillaume Van Hout. That rounds up the top 10. Guillaume Hamling is next, and then it's James O'Reilly. Gregory Conchabo is in 13th place, David Santamaria and Bobby Moss. Then it's Josh Millington in 16th position, ahead of Matt Acton and Janus Wenzel. The two of them tied on 72 points. Simon Norton and Quinton Van are also tied there, tied 19th place. Grant Miller is just outside the top 20, with Thomas Helmer just behind. Matt Smith next up with Marcel Hess. Then it's Gareth Ronda. Followed by him is a train of Brits, actually, including Edward Parfitt, who's here again today. Adam Burks, who's 28th, ahead of Oscar Soristo. Stephen Hutter, who rounds up the top 30. Then Christian Kamprager, Andrew Pike, and then those who haven't got any points so far this season. A very long list of standings there, and a decent grid as well. Currently 23 on the board for qualifying, which is already underway, and that's going to be a very cramped field, I feel, around a circuit like this one. The current pole time, 59.0 seconds over the course of 2.5 kilometres around this very short circuit.
Yeah. I think this could be interesting, and I think the reason why is as they come down straight away down into turn 1 here, as we go under, you can see going under the Volkswagen bridge, it's like a 58.7 lap time. It's not a sudden stop, but this is quite a difficult corner. You come into the left-hander, then you throw it into the right, and it's very difficult. What they don't want to do at the start is all bottleneck up, and, as we've seen it before, bish bash bosh, collision time, and some of them end up going out before the race has even started. So they've got to be a bit more mindful of what they're going to do, especially going into turn 1/2.
Yeah, this corner at the end of the back straight, by the way, made at the Shell S, this is called, made a little bit easier by the fact that we've got such a short run on the way in there. You can keep your foot planted a little bit further, although it doesn't decrease or increase, indeed, the challenges of these final 2 turns. This is the final of them, just staying off that inside curb, and that is on board for a very quick lap around the Oschersleben B course, as it's called. Out over the line for Kieran Sharp, and he goes back to the top of the standings. Very much get the feeling here that we're in the stage of the session where we're building up a little bit in terms of speed. 8 thousandths of a second, though, only between Kieran Sharp and Frank Porte-Ruiz, who currently holds second. Yeah,
it's very close. I'm going to take qualifying not with a pinch of salt, because obviously it's going to be quite important if you're going to get up into the top 5. But how is everybody else going to get through? You know, the likes of 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. They're all going to be about mid-pack, and Volodia as well in 8th, Miller 9th. Again, sandwiched in that mid-pack, and we can see that turn 1. I can see it causing problems, and I'm hoping it doesn't, but they've got to file out before that. Otherwise, it's just all going to go wrong.
It certainly is. This is, oh dear, a look at the front straight where someone has gone off the road and goes back to pit lane here. Frank Porte-Ruiz is going quickly here, and he might well go quicker again. Has he done enough? He has, just about. Very close, though, at the top of the standings. Just 17 thousandths of a second separating 1 and 2. Bobby Moss goes up to 3rd place. He's only just over a 10th back, ahead of Verdi Rombots now in 4th. over the line for Andrew Pike, who will not improve from 11th position. This is going to be a very fast-paced qualifying session. Each driver should get at least 9 attempts at this lap.
Yeah, but it should get 9, you are right. But if they get off tracks or if they go off the circuit, it's obviously going to cause some problems. You know, they could only get 6 or 7. If they're perfect every lap, I would be very surprised. But never say never, and I think that's where this circuit's going to play a massive part into it. Manage your off tracks, manage where you're going to take the problems, because I can tell you what, this circuit, although it's short, does look very, very tight.
Oh, not the fastest lap. Kieran Sharp goes quicker again there over the line, as does Miller, up to 4th place in the standings there. Hayden Miller, who is in the 81 car, up on the 2nd row at the moment. There's another improvement for Andrew Pike, up to 8th place for him now in the standings. There's another look back to the bottom end of the grid. Gareth Ronda over the line, an improvement, but no gain of place there, I'm afraid, for him. There's the Ferrari livery of Matt Smith making his way over the line. He's only 20th. So we get the final couple of drivers, or some more drivers indeed, to the line here. Guillaume Hamling, one of them. Green in the first sector, good in the second as well, and he'll move up a place into 13th. Just 3 minutes to go here, and I do wonder somewhat how important this qualifying session is going to be. A tight and twisty racetrack with a short race to come. Surely everybody has had their full focus on this first session.
Yeah, they've got to try and make the best of this situation. They really have. And if they don't, they're going to be in trouble. And I think that's the thing. They've got to bury this first session. They've just if you can, get pole in race 2. Get in the top 10, get pole in race 2. It will make things so much easier for you going into that race 2, because I can tell you one thing, if you are going to have problems trying to come through the field, and their leaders are going to be even quicker as well, so they're going to be speedy coming through the field. So I think it's all about now traffic management in race 2 as well, for the likes of Sharp, Ruiz, Moss, Nuttall, Miller, because they're going to be towards the back end of the grid. So they've got to make sure that they come through and manage that traffic. 25 minutes, although it's not long, can feel like an age, so they've got to make sure they can come through cleanly.
Yeah, exactly. So let's find out as we go into the final corner now with Andrew Pike. He had someone in front of him there having a bit of a slide through the Shell S, which is not helpful. He'll make his way towards the line now. And does he improve? Van Hulk jumps over him, actually, Pike, and he can't improve himself. Maybe as a result of the driver in front. He'll certainly believe so. As we get towards the final minute and a half now, it's getting towards last chance for everybody now. Where are the improvements really going to come from for the moment? At this present time, Kieran Sharp is going to take pole here by nearly 700ths of a second. That's quite a large margin compared to what we've seen through most of the day. Quinton Van goes over the line in 18th place and will stay there. I think that wasn't even an off-track maybe throughout that one. Volodya goes over the line up to, well, it's only going to be 11th because Hamlin goes over immediately after and improves. Matt Acton is in the final corner right now as well. There he is in the, well, I would say zebra crossing livery, but he's got yellow in his car. Anyway, he goes over the line.
It's the student driver livery that comes with iRacing. So it tells, obviously, it just basically tells everybody like that. Look, it's on the side. Student driver. So there we go.
So it feels a bit rude to say that, but
yeah, it does a little bit.
It's true. Frank Porte Ruiz, while we were busy cracking jokes, has gone up to pole. That's 34 thousandths of a second ahead of Sharp, who also goes back to the pit lane. I feel as if we may have our pole sitter for race 1.
Yeah, we have, and it looks like Vyacheslav Volodya is going to come over the line. So is Guillaume Hamlin, not too far back. Eva, what sort of time is Volodya going to get? Is he going to get any improvement? He goes up into 4th. Nice little run for him. Guillaume Hamlin doesn't move forward from 10th. Lots of improvements going on at the moment. So much quick action. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, capturing all of this, but we'll have a go. We'll have a go.
We will, and we'll have a go at the starting grid here as well, because it's time to go racing in the TSRC F4 sprint. Frank Porte-Ruiz and Kieran Sharp traded the pole position throughout most of that session and will share the front row. Bobby Moss will be alongside Václav Volodya with that late lap time up to the second row. Jamie Nuttall and Hayden Miller on an all-British row 3 ahead of Guillaume van Hout. The best of the Belgians placed in the field ahead of Andrew Pike. It's Verdi Brumbarts and Guillaume Hamling on the last parts of the top 10. Josh Millington and James O'Reilly just missed out on that top 10. David Santamaria is 13th out of Matt Acton. Simon Norton and Grant Miller with Thomas Martin and Edward Parfitt round out a couple of British rows there in 8 and 9. Then it is Quinton Van and Matt Smith to round out the top 20. Gareth Ronda, Will Ellis and Jonas Vansel, who didn't set a time there, round out the 23 drivers who are in the session for today. As James mentioned a couple of moments ago, we've got a 15-minute race to come first. This will be based on qualifying, as you can see. And then we will have a short session in between and the reverse 25-minute race where there will be a pit stop needed by all of the cars as well. So look forward to seeing how this race is going to transpire as we get our season really underway and get towards the end of round 3 by the end of today. Just 2.5 kilometres around here into one of iRacing's newest additions. It's the Motorsport Arena Oschersleben that plays host to round 3 of the TSRC F4 Championship, and it is underway. Porte-Ruiz with a decent start but has to cover Kieran Sharp off immediately on the way down towards turn 1. Moss has got a good start as well and will look for any part of the turn 1 he can get to here, but can't quite do it. Porte-Ruiz leads into the first couple of corners. Then it's Sharp. Just in behind third place is Bobby Moss. Hayden Miller's made a good start. He's up to 4th place by the looks of things. Then it's Jamie Nuttall who rounds out the top 5 on this opening lap.
Yeah, they've done a great job. They've got through that tricky turn 1, turn 2 there, and you can see from the gainers on the left-hand side who has moved places. Nuttall, Miller and Van Hoyt, and another one as well, jumping up straight away. Volodya down 4 places, Nuttall down 2 at the moment, and Miller, Van Hoyt and Rumba are moving up 2. Great start from everybody at the moment. They're on their way round to complete the first lap, and Porte-Ruiz out in front.
Yeah, the top 3 have stayed the same, and it's been all changed further back. Nuttall made a good start, actually, but has been shuffled back to 7th place as a result of what happened at the cut-through. Just went really wide and got freight trained by everybody. Volodya's trying to stop losing places right now and is side-by-side again with Millington, who's got up to 8th place now. Andrew Pike fancies a bit of this as well into turn 1, and he'll go through on the outside by the looks of it into turn 1 and 2. No, not quite. And Volodya will stay ahead, but this is where the action is. In the midfield, where this big battle for 8th place and the bottom end of the all-important top 10 is going on.
Yeah, we've got Matt Acton here as well. He's running side by side currently at the moment. There is the car in front. Santa Maria going in front of him. Acton trying again to go up the inside. Is he going to be able to get that position done? It looks like Santa Maria is going to get him this time around, and Acton's going to have to settle in once more. Of course, they've got Edward Parfitt right up behind him. He's closing them down there. Moss is off. Moss is off. He's not just off, he's off.
It's out of the Shell S, and he just gets a bit wide on the exit. Backed it into the wall as well. I'm surprised he's been able to turn it round in the way that he did, actually. It was very smart to just wait for the field to go here and not get in everyone's way, and I suspected he might have damage. He certainly does. Fastest lap of the race so far from Kieran Sharp on the first flying lap that these guys have had all day long in a race situation. He's chasing down Porte-Ruiz for the lead right now, and the qualifying pattern is being repeated here as the top 2 show themselves head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
Yeah, we've got Rumbarts here doing a great job. He's up 4 places, sitting in 5th. He's got Van Hoyt and Miller at the moment in front of him as they're on that run down from turn 4, down through that shell curve. The right-hander in they go now. Now they've got to jink left for turn 6 before they go round down to turn 7, which is the Bauer curve here. And a great job so far for all of these that have gained positions. Grant Miller and Bobby Moss look like they've had what could possibly be a little bit of contact together. There is Miller. Oh, I could just see this. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about the where is Bobby Moss in this point of view? Oh, he's into the pits. So what did actually happen here? Nope, Grant's already gone. He's already gone at that point.
Yes.
So what's your car in front as contact? There goes Grant Miller. And there's another piece of contact.
Ahead.
Yeah, look, it goes up over him. So is that Simon Norton's incident? No,
it is.
It is.
It is. So he's side by side with Quinten van Vingeren here, who's down the inside there and just goes straight over the top of Simon Norton. Now, difficult to know where to pin the blame there because they look like a healthy dose of internet help for those two, I'm afraid. And Norton's been able to carry on actually here. He's still 14th as we go aboard with Jamie Nuttall. This is where the action is. Oh, and there it is! Around goes Van Hoot as he tried to go down the inside at the final turn. It's gone dramatically wrong and he's outside the top 10.
Oh, we just caught on board with that as well for Quillen Van Hoy, and it's just unfortunate. He just got it down the inside. He couldn't get it stopped. And we've seen that plenty of times where you just don't quite get it stopped there. Rombouts and Millington were already. Rombouts has had a bit of a problem as well. He's dropped now down into 12th place, 13th place.
Oh dear, what is going on back here for Rombouts, who's gone around out of turn 2 by the looks of things. It's the opening section of corners, of course, straightened out and made a little bit more flowing. But doesn't make it any easier on these cars, and Vinny Rombouts, he's got clobbered by someone, and that's going to be a real problem for somebody with damage in the midfield there, I'm afraid to say, and it's created a big group of battlers again for 4th position. Volodia, would you believe it, is back to 4th again after a terrible start. It's been a good race after that for the 5 minutes after the launch. Now he's up to 4th position, and the fight for the 10th place is really back on again here. Seems that Rombouts is into the pit lane, that's why he's dropping down the order. Millington is dropping down the order as well. He's also in pit lane. Maybe he was the one who hit the car that spun around at turn 2. He's trying to get out of the way of everybody here.
It is Millington.
It is, yeah. So he was the one that hit the stationary car in front of him, and that's a shame for both of them. Rombouts, who was in front of him, and they couldn't avoid each other. There was big contact made. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 10th place. James O'Reilly now in the coveted 10th place.
Yeah, he is. He's sitting on that pole position at the moment. He's got Thomas Martin from the Euro Enduro Motorsport team behind him with Simon Norton and Edward Parfitt. Edward's up in 5 places. Janos Wenzel is up 9 at the moment. The biggest gainer of the race so far. This young man started at the back of the grid, so a great job from him. But Kieran Sharp side by side at the moment here. Ruiz was elbows out.
Yeah, aggressive into turn 1, and it's paid off for him. You can see him in front in the brightly coloured pink, blue and yellow of the 22 car, and the 23 just trailing him by a tenth or 2, but a big slide through the 3rd corner there. Will set him back a couple of attempts as Kieran Sharp tries to get himself back on terms again. He's not won yet this season, but he has been on the podium on 3 occasions. One more than can be said, in fact 2 more than can be said for Frank Porte Ruiz, who comes in today 5th place in the standings. It's quite bizarre for 2 drivers who are 3rd and 5th in the standings to be showing themselves to be so strong, and so much stronger than everybody else in the field as well. I mean, at the championship leaders, Jamie Nuttall is not anywhere near them, and unfortunately Jack Southfield, who's also won double in this season so far, is not here today. But the 2 out front are showing themselves to be clearly faster than the rest.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It really kind of doesn't mean as much with the championship. We are only on round 3, and I think we've got to remember that there's still 3 more rounds to go. And I'm not overly worried that these guys will be able to produce. They're going to produce week in, week out, and I think they're still going to be able to do it here. And I think they're going to do a great job. I think that's the thing. You've just got to nestle in, get your positions. You've got to stay out of trouble, get points. Points in race 1, points in race 2, and you'll start moving yourself up through the championship.
Yeah, that's what you've got to do. The name of the game is down the inside goes Guillaume Van Hout. He's recovering from a spin that he had at the final corner a few laps ago. Well, it's into the penultimate corner where he's made his move on this occasion. He's up to 8th place, ahead of Matt Acton, and then James O'Reilly, who holds that 10th position for now, and he'll be pleased with how things have gone for the moment, because the gap between 10th and 11th is a growing one, 2 seconds at the moment, and so everybody currently inside that top 10 is securing a place in the reverse grid. That's exactly where you want to be at the end of the day. as Nuttall tries to work his way through into 4th place.
Yeah, he's trying to get through Volodya. Volodya did not have a good start, right? We saw him go down more than quicker than he went up, to be fair. But he's managed to make his way back through due to issues that we've had with people in front. So for Volodya, he's now getting settled in the car. He had a rough start. Now get it leveled, get it under your belt, start doing your breathing, just count, drive, and start hitting your braking points. He clearly is quick. Volodya does the GT3 ACC race and he is quick in that, so he should be quick in this, and he's just got to transfer them skills over from ACC to iRacing and do what he's doing now at the moment. He's just doing a great job in 4th place, and currently at the moment he is going to hold it, I believe.
We will for this lap, but Nuttall's just sizing him up now. He's taking a bit of a wide line through turn 2, and these cars are so difficult to keep a handle on when they're just having those small slides like Nuttall was there. Santa Maria is not too far away here, by the way, either, and I think that just encouraged the line from Nuttall there into turn 3, where he just kept it to the left-hand side slightly more than you otherwise would. Meanwhile, Kieran Sharp has recovered from his very slight problem earlier on to lose a 10th or 2 to Porter Ruiz in the lead of the race, and now he is on the back of him very much so. 5 laps to go, but there'll be, 5 minutes to go, 6 laps to go in this race because of the speed at which they're reeling off the laps here this evening. Will Kieran Sharp go for it? Yes, he will. Porter Ruiz doesn't want him down the inside at turn 1, but he doesn't have a choice here. He's gone wide into 1, which will make him go a little bit wide at turn 2, maybe, but no, that's what Sharp was hoping for anyway. It's not happened, and he'll have to stay behind in this battle for the lead, which is intensifying now into the final minutes.
Yeah, they've got 5 minutes left. They're going to have about 5 laps. That's going to be it. Good evening to everybody in YouTube chat. We haven't ignored you. There's just been so much going on. We haven't had a chance to respond. So much love to you all. Thank you so much. I can see you all coming through. Much appreciated for joining us here. What has been, I think we can safely say, an absolute manic opening 10 minutes here, Ewan.
Yeah, it definitely has. It's been a fantastic start to this race this evening. Well, the racing, I should say. There's 2. 1 to come later on after this first event of the evening. So look out for that in a few moments' time. Meanwhile, Kieran Sharp tries to look for his way through into the lead. He loses a bit of time on that lap, actually, to the tune of a few hundredths of a second, but that's not going to bother him too much. He'll have to size up his opportunity again, and once again, it feels like one of those circuits where you really do have to spend a lap or two sizing up your opponent and trying to work out the best way to action a move, and that is what Sharp is having to do for the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it takes its time. It's not one of these where you can just dive up the... Ooh, Ruiz on the big old block there and defensive straight away. Sharp in again. Is he going to be able to get him one more time? He's got this run through Shadow Corner, through turn 6, then on to turn 7, which is Bauer Curve, which is this right-hander. Get it down in the dip. Don't hit the sausage curb. Now try and get him on the start-finish straight. That's going to be his best opportunity.
Certainly is. Let's see. Oh, a little bit wide into the gravel, but actually a good exit for Ruiz. You can get away with touching the gravel once or twice in our racing, even these days, where the outside objects, let's call them, a little bit stickier than they used to be in terms of the way they slow you Down. That was a look up the inside from Sharp. Maybe that's an avenue you can explore as the battle for 4th has kicked off again. Nuttall has gone for it here, and he has got down the inside by turn 2. This is where you need to be to make a move at Oschersleben, and Jamie Nuttall knows exactly that. He's through up into 4th place ahead of Václav Volodya, who hung on for so long.
Yeah, he did. He fought it out. He fought it out for as long as possible. It must have been a good at least 5-6 laps. He was still there. But now he's got Santa Maria crawling all over him. Santa Maria doesn't look like he's going to give it up in a hurry either, but he's running out of time. He's got 2.5 minutes to try and get this place. But it's going to take that probably to set up Volodya, like it took Nuttall, I don't know, 6-7 minutes to try and set him up. But he has got through now, and Volodya does lose 1 place on the in this race from where he started on the grid. He lost 4, gained 4, and now lost 1 more. So Santa Maria has now got to go have a go, but he's got to get on with it as you've only got 2 laps to go.
Well, I reckon it's 3 actually. The leaders will have crossed the line earlier. 2 minutes to go, but I reckon we could squeeze 3 in here. Let's see. Kieran Sharp will certainly be hoping this runs to a 16-lap affair because he needs the extra lap to make a move, probably. Volodya goes on the defensive into turn 3 as David Santamaria tries to use the very slight banking very shallow banking of that corner to make a move into 4, but it's gone wrong. Oh, what a save. Great save into the cut through for David Santamaria, who just saves his car from going around.
Oh, absolutely a stellar save from him. He was sideways. He was Tokyo drifting that car, and he did an absolute amazing job hanging on. Kieran Sharp cannot get through. It's not going to be the last lap. There's going to be one more after this before the final lap of the race, and he still sat there behind Portia Ruiz.
He is, and that was a personal best for Ruiz on that last lap, by the way. In the race so far, we've got Kieran Sharp with the fastest lap of the day so far by about 800ths of a second. Meanwhile, Ruiz still trying to hang on to the lead, and he's got a bit of traffic now to deal with as well. Quinten van Vingeren is the one ahead in 19th place, just ahead of these guys. You've got to wonder that traffic is going to be a factor in race 2. We'll have in a few moments' time, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Ruiz goes a bit wide through the third last corner. That's the Shell S, the second part of it. And now he's going to be under a bit of pressure into turn 1, surely. It's time for Kieran Sharp to make this work as the seconds tick by. He'll be hoping this is the end of the race for Porte Ruiz, but it's not going to be. They'll get one more time around Oschersleben, and Kieran Sharp's got one more chance to take this win. He sets the fastest lap of the race so far, but doesn't go for it into turn number 1. He can't find a way to the inside or the outside. He's still stuck in second place.
Oh, I thought that was his opportunity. I really think that was his opportunity to have that. The gap was there. It was there for the taking. He just didn't quite make it through. Now where's he going to get him, Ewan? What places has he got left? Surely he's not going to try the outside. Oh, there's a bit of somebody's car there.
It was.
Can't answer whose that was, but it was somebody's there. No. So, yeah, I can't see. Oh, I can't see it now. I just cannot see where he's going to get him.
No, can't see it either. I think he was hoping for banking on turn 4, but it's not happened, I'm afraid, as the drivers come into the final corner now. It's been a close race between the top 2, but only one leader and only one winner in the end. It's Frank Porte Ruiz who takes his first win of the season here at Oschersleben, ahead of Kieran Sharp, who's on the podium for a 4th time in 5 races, leading the others over the line. Jamie Nuttall gets up into 4th place at least, and inside of the top 10, Guillaume Van Hout has recovered from a spin at the final corner throughout the middle of that race to hang on to the reverse grid pole position in the second race.
Yeah, he's going to be on pole. I think that could be vital. I really do think that pole could be vital here, because, as you say, traffic is going to play a massive, massive part going into race 2. There is definitely going to be back markers. There is definitely people they're going to have to try and clear, and I think it's going to be tough. Josh Miller and James Parfitt come over the line. Matt Smith comes over the line as well, and Bobby Moss will be the last one with Quinten van Vingeren behind him. So these guys finish off. Bobby Moss there in that wonderful Williams red. Oh, okay.
I don't know what that was all about. But,
no idea.
There you go.
We'll move on.
That's the end of the opening race anyway here tonight at Oschersleben. Let's have a look at the results. Frank Porte Ruiz scores the maximum points with the win here tonight. In race 1 anyway. Kieran Sharp finishes in second place ahead of Hayden Miller. Then it's Jamie Nuttall, the championship leader, who led Vladislav Volodya, David Santamaria, and to a degree Andrew Pike over the line there. James O'Reilly, Matt Acton and Guillaume Van Hout will round up the top 10. Simon Norton finishes just outside of the top 10 there and just missed out actually. Thomas Martin finished in 12th place. Grant Miller, Edward Parfitt and Josh Millington round up the top 15, with Matt Smith just ahead of Bobby Moss, who'll be disappointed with 17th despite having started so well. Quinten van Vingeren finishes in 18th place ahead of Jonas Wenzel, who was laps down in the end, many laps down, and didn't actually cross the finish line. Guillaume Heimlich, Will Ellis, Bidi Rombarts and Gareth Ronda, all of whom started the race but will not be scored as finishers in that one, I'm afraid. So that's the opening race complete. Now it's time for the reverse grid in about 4 minutes time. 10 minutes longer, but I think the key point is reverse grid, and based on how difficult we just saw it was to overtake for some of the drivers, it may be a tricky race for those who start towards the back or in the midfield.
Yeah, I think that midfield is going to be crazy. I really think it's going to be crazy. They've got to start making their way forward. They know that. How's it going to work out? How is the likes of Ruiz and Sharp and Miller all going to come through the traffic? Are they going to go through sensibly and not be silly? Is Portia Ruiz going to try and be overly aggressive? It's all of these things that are going to go through these drivers' heads. They're in 10th now. He wants to get from the front. He wants to take the race win. But he's got to do it cleanly. But we've seen it last week at Sebring with Jack Southfield taking the win in Heat 1 and Heat 2. So it is possible.
It is indeed. 3 minutes to go in warm-up, by the way. And as we say, it's the reverse grid that's going to be the real specialty or thing to look out for, I suppose, in this second race. I wonder whether traffic is going to come into it as well in terms of actually lap traffic, because we did see them getting quite close to it last time around. Admittedly, that was because a couple of the drivers were a lap down already, having taken pit stops, and so that's how they got out so close to the leaders. But I think even on natural pace here, the gap between the front and the back of the field is going to be so large at such a short circuit that we could see something in the way of lap traffic, not interrupting the race so much, but certainly being a factor in the 25 minutes we're about to see.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you. I think it's going to play a massive part. I think they're going to have to try and be sensible. And I think if anyone makes it makes a mistake, they're going to be punished heavily. They're going to be a couple of laps down. It doesn't take long, this race circuit. So if they make a mistake, it's instantly, as we've seen already in race 1, you've got to go into the pits. If you can't get back to the pits, you've got to tow. That's probably round about 2.5 minutes, even though the lap's only a minute long. You've lost already 3 laps, plus your damage repair or fast repair, whatever, and then you've got to come back out. And by that point, you could be 3.5 laps down easily.
I had some comments in the Discord about what we just saw. Kieran Sharp responding to everyone, pretty much, saying that he couldn't quite get the run on Frank Porte Ruiz that he needed. He said, interestingly to me, that it was hard to follow in the final sector. Now, that's something you'd normally hear in Formula 1 or something, that it's difficult to follow one another, although maybe less so in recent years. Very interesting to hear Sharp saying that, because they're realistically medium speed corners. They're not going too quickly through there in F4 cars, but clearly through these corners on your screen right now, that one on the left hand side there, you are going quick enough so that you are actually too far away all of a sudden to overtake the driver in front of you, which I wasn't expecting to hear.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, but it's going to take... We've seen it take a while to get these set up, right? We saw it with Nuttall and Volodya. Nuttall couldn't get through. It took him 6-7 laps. So is that going to be the same in the reverse, do we think? Are the leaders going to have the same problem? Or are the fact that they're quicker going to make it a little bit easier? It's going to be an interesting race too.
Yeah, it certainly is. We're not too far away from seeing the end of warm-up and the start of this second race. Wonder how the pit stop is going to affect them as well, because it's an interesting pit entry here. A really wide arc through the final corner where you miss the gravel trap entirely and you go around into the pit lane that way. Costs you a lot of time, of course, but that's the idea. And so everyone will have to take their medicine in that respect and make a pit stop throughout the day. The checkered flag is waving on warm-up. Seemingly that means that, well, you'd normally think that is the end of it, and it is indeed. And we'll get towards the grid. Guillaume Van Hout fought well in that first race, and so deserves a pole position for race 2. Matt Acton will be alongside with James O'Reilly and Andrew Pike making up an all-British row 2. David Santamaria and Václav Volodya will be behind with Jamie Dussel and Hayden Miller on row 4. Kieran Sharp and Frank Porte Ruiz round out the top 10 as the 2 that dominated the first race. Simon Norton and Thomas Martin are on the 6th row together with Grant Miller and Edward Parfitt next. It's Josh Millington and Matt Smith on row 8 ahead of Bobby Moss, who'll be looking to move forward from 17th ahead of Quentin van Vingeren. It is Janus Wenzel in 19th ahead of Guillaume Hamling, Will Ellis, Vinnie Lombards and Gareth Ronda rounding up the 23 drivers on the grid, and almost not giving me enough time to go through it entirely. It's time for the main race. 25 minutes in race 2 for the TSRC F4 Championship here tonight. And we are now underway. Guillaume Van Hout hoping for a good start to cut across Matt Acton immediately. But has he done enough here? Doesn't quite look like it, as Acton tries to stay on the inside line going in towards turn number 1. Nearly 3 wide in that second grouping, if you like, back there, but can't quite do it. They all filter through, and they filter through nicely. You can see them braking early on the way in towards turn 1 and 2, so they don't go down the field, although Matt Acton has. He's got it slightly wrong. Let's see what happened early on, though, here in the mid-pack. It was 5 wide for a moment here. Goodness me, the straight isn't long enough for that. And in the end, they just couldn't all quite fit into turn 1.
No, just almost they hit wheels with Edward Parfitt and Will Ellis. They both ended up getting caught in that situation there. James O'Reilly's under attack now from Andrew Pike. He has made it through. O'Reilly's not quite given up, mind you. There is Santa Maria. He's gone alongside, taking a position away from Pike. Volodya's going to have a go at this moment in time here as well. So Volodya,
oh no. Nuttall and Miller, the championship leader, off the road in the form of Jamie Nuttall. It was 2 top 10s for him last time around, but that's looking difficult to achieve again here today, as he has done the hitting there, I think, of Hayden Miller, who's the one who's gone around.
Yeah, slight little bit of contact, and unfortunately Miller did end up going round. He's dropped him all the way back down to the field. We've got Gwilym Hamlin, Quinton van Vingard, and Edward Parfitt. There's a big old collision with Matt Smith and Gareth Ronda. They've had a collision as well. So yeah, lots happening here, and it's not going to let up, I think. And I think it's just going to carry on as these guys start battling way through the field. Porteous Ruiz up to 4 places into 6th. Kieran Sharp up into 7th. So they are gaining, but very, very slowly.
And Sharp was quite a couple of positions ahead of Porte Ruiz a few moments ago, but it's been overtaken now, so I'm not sure how he's lost that time in such short order. Meanwhile, here is Pike trying to stay ahead of, or get ahead, I should say, of Santa Maria in turn 1. An impossible gap on the right-hand side, and it's gone wrong. He goes wide through turn 1. Oh, he's across the gravel and into the side of Santa Maria. That was a terrible moment for the both of them, I'm afraid, as there was contact on the way into turn 1. And as Pike was sent across the curb and the gravel as well, he came careering back onto the road straight into the side of Santa Maria.
Oh, he just got that all wrong. They just almost, I thought they almost made it work, but Santa Maria's on the inside. They bang wheels. That sends Pike off. It almost looks like there was no lift there. It was very bizarre. And then he ends up going straight into the side of Santa Maria. I would have thought if he'd lifted it might have made a little bit more difference of speed. Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't on board. I don't have his telemetry, so I can't comment completely on that one.
Yeah, so fortunate for the both of them, who are now down towards the back. Meanwhile, it's 4 wide off the final corner. Well, you don't see that very often at Oschersleben, but we just have now Jamie Nuttall making up positions already here as Moss is down the inside. It's Miller on the outside going in towards the first corner, and they'll remain side by side as Nuttall steps through the middle and goes through on both of them. It's just behind these guys in the battle for 11th position. It is all going on here as Riddy Rumberts looks for positions here. Great start from him, up 10 positions now after starting towards the back.
Yeah, this is not finished. This is not finished. There's a mistake from Grant Miller. That's going to be 2 positions. Wenzel and Hayden Miller have now got through on him there. So unfortunately, a mistake from Grant Miller has cost him there as well. Volodya's got Porteous Ruiz behind him. So this is going to be an interesting one. And how quick is this going to get dealt with?
Let's see if he can get through quickly, because Guillaume van Hout is in danger of getting away entirely here. Showed good pace in the first race, and so he could very much produce that again to win here and become the first of the, well, he alongside Porte Ruiz anyway will become the first drivers to share honours, if you like, in a race meeting. It's been double wins so far for Jamie Nuttall and Jack Southfield, which has slightly made the standings look a little bit weird, as you saw earlier on in the day. But Porte Ruiz is going to be the one who can try and put an end to that, and he goes down the inside very nearly at turn 4. That would have been very late.
Oh, that would have been one of them turns that you do not go into like that. They have to try and go wide to open it up. You're relying on them seeing you on that inside as well. It's almost like the left-hander at Kota. When you come round, you can either take that very wide. Well, it's even like the first corner at Kota, where you go up the hill, you can either take it wide or you can take it tight. And it looks like for Ruiz there, he's got to be careful, because Volodya's taking it wide. He's not necessarily seeing him on that inside inside. He nearly lost his known code that time around, and he doesn't want to jeopardise it just by relying on the fact that somebody's going to see him.
Vidi Rumbatz, I'm afraid, has gone back to pit lane. Not sure if that's scheduled or whether he has got a problem there, I'm afraid, but his good start is not looking so good as far as the stat sheet's looking at the moment. Anyway, now outside for Porter Ruiz through turn 3. That would be brave, but he'll give him the inside for turn 4, which is what he really wants. Volodya able to get back there again almost immediately. It's been a decent start actually from Volodya himself here. He's up quite a few places, finished 4th in that opening race, now 3rd already in the second one, despite having to start back in 7th position. So similar gains being made back here between this group, but the key issue remains at hand here. Kieran Van Hout is still leading, and they're not going to get any closer if they're fighting like this.
No, Matt Smith said an incident has gone straight back to the pits. Rombout's went into the pits, he's come out to the pits, and it looks like he's had another bit of a moment as these guys side by side now going into turn 1. He's going to Ruiz once. He was... Man, there's somebody off the side of the circuit there. James O'Reilly, unfortunately, has been off the side of the circuit and has come back on.
Second, James O'Reilly off the road, chasing for the lead, and he was closing, but he's got it wrong. It's turn 1 and 2. He's frustrated with himself, throws himself into the gravel, and he is back again in 6th place. That is a real shame for a driver who could have really helped Kieran Van Hout in a roundabout kind of way, but also for his own aspirations could have got a great result himself. That's a real shame. Meanwhile, Porter Ruiz is now up into 2nd place, so he can begin to start working on that 2-second margin up to the race leader.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing on this overtake. He was lucky Volodya gave him room. Volodya didn't have to give him room. He didn't. He wasn't. I don't think he was where we think he was. I don't think he was alongside. He wasn't at the moment. So if Volodya had turned in, that would have been on Ruiz. There wasn't a front wheel. Rear wheel
speaking of which,
yeah, that's
it's the other way around.
Yeah,
and this time around, and there's lap traffic involved now too. Porter Ruiz hangs on, but he's weaving around. Not happy, I think, that Volodya got into the side of him there. I reckon that Volodya's done some damage to himself though there, because Kieran Sharp goes straight through, or he's just being nice to Kieran Sharp, which is possible. And so the two who battled for race 1 may be allowed to do so for the second race as well. Millington can't quite follow through. Yeah, to be honest, I thought Porter Ruiz from that angle anyway looked like he was alongside Volodya to me at turn 1 and 2. And so, in which case you sort of don't give room to the driver on your inside at your own peril, really, because you'll be the one who's chucked into the gravel if you don't, and you should have done. So, sort of self-polices almost. But it looked to me from that camera angle as if he was alongside, but let's have another look. Yeah, he looks alongside to me there. And entitled to the room on the inside line. Oh no! Meanwhile, it's all gone wrong for 3 of the 4 who were in that group. I've spun around. First it was Kieran Sharp. Václav Volodya's gone a 2, and Millington followed them as well as he tried to avoid. With Volodya going too deep into the corner, hits Kieran Sharp, then goes for his own spin, which in turn spins out Millington. What a disaster of events.
Oh man, that was just a catalyst chain, wasn't it? That one, it was just one after the other. Volodya went off with contact, then Sharp went off after, trying to recover the car, and Miller got caught up in it as well. It's all getting a little bit scrappy, but we've got Josh Miller, and he's still going. He's now got Simon saying that he's just dived into the pits. Jamie Nuttall is still going here, and he's behind Thomas Martin at the moment.
A good idea as well here in my mind, because it's traffic time if you're 5th place or worse off here in the field. There goes Nuttall, just getting clear of it, but he's going to find himself in more lap traffic as well. So good idea to get your pit stop out the way now. Just over 15 minutes to go, which suggests that they can just about make it. If this race goes on one lap further than they're thinking, then they might not be able to, but I think they've played it safe enough, and if they fill their tanks up all the way as much as they can, then they will be okay to make it to the end of the race. As Norton goes deep into the corner, straight on into the tyres, and Moss gets the free position.
Oh man, man. That was just crazy. Janus Wenzel again. Biggest gainer today, up 11 places now. Obviously, he gained a load from race 1, but he did end up dropping back. He made a mistake. He has gained 11 from race 2, but don't forget, literally from Simon Norton upwards, they have not pitted. So 9th all the way to 1st have not gone into the pits. Hayden Miller and Andrew Pike, they just have swapped places, and Pike does manage to get through on Miller there. I was a little bit worried there because it looked like Miller was going to turn in on him, but he managed to avoid him, and Andrew Pike does go through.
Yeah, a bit wide for Pike through the Shell S, but he's okay with that, and he will retain 12th place. So who hasn't stopped for the moment? Well, we're still waiting for the top 9 to come in, and whether the ones that have been in already can make it to the end is very much a matter of when they came in. For example, Andrew Pike, after 3 laps, I suspect is not quite going to be able to make it as comfortably as maybe Sharp or Millington with the first 2 of stops, but they pitted on lap 9. I feel like they're in a little bit more of a comfortable position. The disadvantage for Sharp is that he's behind someone again here, but I suppose it's better than being in the group that he was previously. What this has created, though, is sort of a half and half in the field, if you like. It's created half of those who want to stay out as long as possible because that's where the clean air is for them now, but also the other half where they've pitted early because there wasn't any clean air for them previously. Now they're at 2 different ends of the circuit, both trying to achieve the same goal.
Oh, Will Ellis and Simon Norton. I'm wondering if they've... nope, Will Ellis is just coming out the pits. Did he make a mistake straight away? Surely he can't have spun it up coming up. It looks like he's just exiting the pits there. I'm thinking more of Simon Norton and seeing what he got up to, because it's registered that he's had a little bit of a moment with himself. Actually, it's just picking up that he's going into the pits. So nothing doing there. Matt Acton and Jamie Nuttall still carrying on.
They are indeed. 13 minutes to go, just over half of this second race in the evening remaining, and a new fastest lap so far from Frank Porte-Ruiz. Now, it does seem that he's got the time remaining to try and take his second race win of the evening. However, does he have the ability to make an overtake around this circuit, which has proved to be a little bit on the tricky side at times, especially when you've got 2 drivers of similar speed and ability?
Yeah, it's always tough when you're on the same time lapse as everybody else. That's the problem. You know, we've got Bobby Moss here. He's got Thomas Martin. Moss last time out did literally a 58.9. Martin did a 50. There was 4 attempts there from Bobby Moss. And the question is now can Moss make this through and get past Thomas Martin, because he is at the moment losing time.
He is indeed. This is a big loss of time for Moss. He looks to the outside here, can't do it there. Maybe looks to the inside of the final corner, can't do it there either. And so we'll have to stay behind and make our way to the front straight now. This will be a good test of whether he can make it through or not here. Is he close enough at turn 1, where things get a little bit tricky in terms of overtaking, but it's high risk that's needed, and he's taken the risk, and he's gone through pretty easily actually into turns 1 and 2. And so Moss moves up to 6th place, 11 up on his start, and that's a good return on what's been a difficult day, certainly a difficult first race for him this afternoon.
Yeah, neither of these are pitted, mind you, though. Moss, Martin, Acton, Nuttall, O'Reilly, Porte-Ruiz and Guillaume Van Hoyt. So it'd be interesting to see where they come out in conjunction with Kieran Sharp and Josh Millington, and whether or not these guys can jump them in the pits. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm expecting these guys in probably within the next couple of laps at the latest, and then we can really see where Millington and Sharp come out.
Well, they went 16 laps in the first race because that's how long the race was, so they can go at least that far. Whether they decide to go any further is the next question. That was a bit deep on the brakes from Sharp, and if you do that at turn 4, you're in big danger of getting into the gravel, not the gravel, the grass, and the tyre wall maybe on the outside as well, but Sharp just able to pull it up in time and deal with that. As we now go on board with this battle for the lead, will Frank Porte-Ruiz leave this very much longer? Because now all of a sudden he's in traffic. He knows that, or likely knows anyway, that he's in a bit of a race with Millington and Sharp as well, although they are quite a long way behind him. Does he try and do something a little bit different to Guillaume Van Hout here? who is just ahead into the final couple of corners now with just over 10 minutes to go in the race, and they do different things. So Van Hout is into the pit lane, and Porte Ruiz will be able to continue on for at least one more.
Yeah, and that's Santa Maria and Wenzel side by side here. Santa Maria does just go through on Wenzel, so we'll say that's him moving up into 15th. Where is Millington and Sharp in conjunction with Van Hoyt? He's in. Has he stopped yet? No, he's not stopped. He's got to get stopped, got to get fueled. These guys have got 2 more corners. I don't think they're going to catch him.
No, I don't think they're going to get anywhere near here. The time that they've made up has not been factored into the fact that they had a real big problem earlier on. Let's not forget when they both spun around at turn 2, and that's going to take a lot of catching up from. In fact, they only just crossed the line now. So Porte Ruiz will be ahead of them. I would have thought that O'Reilly will get ahead of them, as well as Nuttall, Acton, maybe Brian Moss as well in 5th position. Bobby Moss, excuse me, not Brian Moss. Bobby Moss will get up ahead of them, I would have thought, maybe as well. All these guys even fighting for a top 5 here. They've done the best they can, I think it's fair to say, with the card hand that they've been dealt today, if you like. However, there's not a lot that you can do with a big spin at turn 2 and a load of positions lost.
Yeah, I'm wondering, actually, Hamling has gone off the side of the circuit. Guillem Hamling's made a mistake that's dropped him down into 13th at the moment. Wiraldi Rombouts has gone through on him, but this is probably the closest battle on the race circuit at the moment, so we'll have to see how these go and how these guys get on that one. It looks like Edward Parfitt, unfortunately, has made a mistake and has gone back to the pits. Yes, overcooked it, and in he goes and takes off his front wing. So that's another retiree along with Smith and Ronda this evening.
Ronda, by the way, put in the chat that he wasn't a fan of this car track combination, citing that as one of his reasons for retirement. Well, I suspect he's not the only one who has not been enjoying this combination here tonight, although it's provided decent entertainment for us, I've got to say. Bobby Moss into the pit lane then, in the very famous Williams livery from the 80s. It's a wonderfully replicated one on this F4 car as he brings that down pit lane. Now, will he be ahead of these guys? It'd be quite telling if he is, and he's already on pit exit here. Don't forget, it's a very sharp exit, so you'll be going a lot slower than you are on the racetrack as normal. There's Millington and Sharp. They should get him, actually. So I reckon they'll be ahead here just because of the way that Moss has to go round this corner here. Very tight exit to the pit lane, and through they'll both go. So they will be ahead of Moss, maybe Matt Acton as well, but they're only just knocking on the door of a top 5.
Yeah, they are at the moment, but these guys trying to, obviously it looks like they're working together now rather than working apart like they were. Ruiz, O'Reilly, Nuttall's in. What about Acton? He's gone in. Thomas Martin is behind the fence as well. Guillem Van Hoyt has already been in, so it's where's Guillem going to be in conjunction with the guys that are in the pit box. Ruiz is in and out. So there's Ruiz going in and out. There is Van Hoyt on the left-hand side coming down. Don't forget, he's at full speed, and Ruiz is not. He's trying to get up to speed here. So Van Hoyt does make it through in second.
Oh, no.
Oh, so close.
Doesn't make it.
Nope, so
Doesn't
close.
make it. No. Well, I'm afraid that may well be game, set and match for Frank Porte Ruiz here. Guillem Van Hout is going to really struggle, I think, from this point to get back on terms with the race leader and prevent another double race winner on one evening from showing themselves in the TSRC F4, I'm afraid here. Millington and Sharp, by the way, have just gotten ahead of Acton, so they are indeed fighting for a top 5. Meanwhile, it's the 12th position for these guys, Hamling, Martin and Volodya, who's quite a long way back and actually suffered the most out of their 3-car incident at turn 2 about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, he's now down in 13th. We've got Millington and Sharp. They jumped Acton in the pits, but that was as high as they were going to get. They didn't get Nuttall, they didn't get O'Reilly, and we saw them not get Van Hoyt or Ruiz. So these guys battling away for this 5th place to see how they do. Is Kieran Sharp going to go and send it? Dude, you got the door like literally wide open, but just couldn't make it through this time.
Oh, And that won't help either, as Millington just fades in and out of existence. Sharp couldn't quite get down the inside there to assert his authority at turn 2. What about 3 and maybe 4? That's where he's really fancied a move so far. Especially turn 4 has been his place as of right now. Let's see. Well, he's not really even looking at the inside at turn 4 yet either. I wonder whether he's thinking if he can catch O'Reilly and Nuttall, who are fighting for 3rd place right now, but they're 2.5 seconds nearly up the road and there's only 5 minutes to go. I would have thought for Sharp it's a better idea to just try and make this overtake and then be done with this race.
I agree. I don't think they're going to have the pace. We'll keep an eye on the last lap time here to see if that will be the situation. There is the lap times over Nuttall and Millington. Millington's going to come over the line now. Just a little bit, back marker there, making it a little bit more interesting than it probably needs to be. Just a little bit behind, so it's really going to be the next one that's going to be the telltale, because obviously 19, there's 22 seconds, there's a pit stop involved in that one, but it will be this lap to see how much closer they're going to be able to get. I don't think they're going to get that 1.8 seconds down.
I wouldn't have thought so, although Nuttall is falling back a little bit here. With 4 minutes to go. Should be 4 laps to go, although it's going to be quite close by the time that Ruiz gets to the line. It's not going to be that close, actually. I think it will be, for sure, 4 laps and a 25-lap race. The length and slowness, lack of speed in the pit lane here means that laps are taken off us, if you like. Purple lap from Porte Ruiz, though. A 58.5 to his name. And he will be cruising to another race win by the looks of things. The battles are going to be behind, and the big one here for me is Kieran Sharp, whether he can work his way through on Millington as he tries to just get as close to Nuttall as possible. Gained some of those points back off Nuttall last race, but he's losing a few here.
Yeah, he's got to get this done somehow. You know, we know it took practically 6 laps for Nuttall to make the overtake on Volodya in race 1, but Sharp can't keep affording to sit there. There's Nuttall. You can see him. You know, you're relying on Millington just trying to get you through. Millington's just made another mistake. So Sharp's got to go. He's got to go soon, mind you, because that gap is now really 2.3, and it's not making it any easier for them.
Well, it's another fastest lap for the race leader. These guys not able to achieve that by any means, and they're not going to catch Nuttall with pace that he's got there in the second position in that group either. There goes Sharp into turn 1, just braking a bit early so he doesn't hit the back of Millington. I don't really see what his plan is here, because evidently the plan to overtake Porte Ruiz in the first race didn't work. He seems to be trying the same thing again, and it's coming to similar success right now.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is. That's the problem. I was just seeing if Nuttall was going to get O'Reilly. I'm not sure what the plan is. You've got to, at some point on this race circuit, you've got to send it, and he's got to send it. That's the problem. He's got to make that most opportunity of how close he gets going through the final corner, then on the run down into turn 1. That's got to be his best place, and it's got to be his opportunity. I can't see waiting any longer. It's just costing him time after time after time, and he's got to get it this done. I don't think Nuttall's going to get it done. He's too far back going into that turn 1. Whether or not Sharp is a little bit closer, nope, he's too far back as well. He's got to bury that last corner to get this overtake done in 1.
It's a 4th podium of the season on the line for Nuttall at the moment, and Kieran Sharp today has only finished outside the top 5 once so far this season. He's looking to prevent that right now with an overtake here on the penultimate lap. That's not going to help. Millington leaves a bit of space though through turn 3, and that will be outside for Sharp. He knows that that's not a particularly fruitful place to be, and so doesn't brake too late, and so we'll stay behind again. Just 1 lap for him to figure this out now.
Yeah, he's not gonna have time. I don't think he's going to have time. He's got to make a most of an opportunity. He's got to bury this section here, and he's got to bury the next one, because if he wants to make this move down into 1, this is it. This is all or nothing. He's got to do this now, because he's got to just be brave. He's got to be brave, round the inside, round the outside, whatever option he gets. He's going to try the outside line, and whether or not, nope, it's just not working for him. He just cannot.
Turn 2.
No, he's just not carrying enough speed. There's been a collision.
Oh, big contact. And all of a sudden, they're both going to get a top 5. Millington and Sharp moving to 3rd and 4th as there's been contact back up here with James O'Reilly and Jamie Nuttall. Now, it's Nuttall who gets into the back of O'Reilly and then gets spun around himself. Oh dear, the two of them are going to be disappointed with one another, I think, there with that one, as O'Reilly drops to 7th and Nuttall back to 11th. Meanwhile, it's a double raced winner for the first time this season, and a third different double winner as well. Frank Porter-Ruiz does the double in Germany. He's the winner again at Oschersleben, and further behind, Kieran Sharp doesn't make his way through, but he will be in the top 5 again. Meanwhile, the championship leader, Jamie Nuttall, has a disappointing day in the end. He will finish down in 10th.
Oh man, that was crazy ending to a race. You know, he just looked like he had far too much speed. Slight little lift here probably wouldn't have done him any harm. Slight little lift there. He sends him through, thinks he's going to get through. O'Reilly comes round and hits him and spins him off there as well, and then carries on his way. So yeah, not an ideal race for some of these drivers, but yeah, it's tough. Always tough when they're fighting that closely.
Well, that was a very close finish indeed, and an exciting one as well on the last lap, but not particularly for Frank Porter-Ruiz, who wins and takes another 65 points next to his name. Guillaume Van Hout will be satisfied, I think, with 2nd place. Josh Millington very pleased with 3rd after that surprise on that last lap. Kieran Sharp back in the top 5 again for the 5th time out of 6 races. It's Matt Acton who will join them there. Bobby Moss will be 6th ahead of James O'Reilly, who drops from that podium place to 7th on the last lap. Hayden Miller, Willie Rombats and Jamie Nuttall round out the top 10. Championship leader having a disappointing day. Guillaume Hamling finishes 11th ahead of Václav Volodya, who is only 12th. Thomas Martin was a couple of seconds further back with David Santamaria and Jonas Wenzel in the rest of the top 15. Simon Norton and Andrew Pike were the final drivers on the lead lap, with Grant Miller, Quinton van Vingeren battling one lap down. We just saw them come across the line nose to tail. Will Ellis also saw the checkered flag. Edward Parfitt, Matt Smith and Gareth Ronda did not, unfortunately, in that one. But an interesting second race, an interesting 2 races actually there for the TSRC F4 Championship here tonight. It was 40 minutes of racing overall and very entertaining from start to finish as well, at an unusual track, but turned out to be an entertaining one in these cars.
Yeah, it did. It looked very difficult to overtake. Very difficult to overtake. It took 6-7 laps to get past somebody, and it just, I think there was a few that needed just to calm down for race 2, settle down a little bit, settle up that turn 1. That was going to be the difficult one. We always saw it was going to be a difficult one, and it was a difficult one. But we've got Hayden Miller for you waiting in the booth, and Hayden has joined us now.
Hello. Welcome in. Hello, good to speak to you after tonight's racing. A lot of people, few people, talking about this car and track combination being not one that they particularly enjoyed. How did you find it tonight?
When I first heard about it, I was a bit optimistic, but I thought it was going to be far too short when I first went out there. Obviously, under 1 minute lap times, so I was a bit hesitant. But when the race was started, I found on Wednesday that it's going to be a fun track. It's a really tricky track as well. Behind someone disappears, but yeah, it's a fun track. We're going to obviously Fuji next, so completely opposite types of tracks. So it's just going to be exciting to see what we do.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot coming up on the calendar in terms of differences, maybe in terms of tracks. It's not one that I'd particularly seen a lot of either. I've got to say only 2.5 kilometres around here, but it did seem to provide interesting racing. Something else that people were saying as well, or particularly that Kieran Sharp was saying as he was trying to get the lead of the first race, was that it was relatively difficult to overtake because it was so difficult to follow the car in front of you through the final sector there. Was that very much the case for you, or was not much of a factor at a slow circuit?
Well, race 1, obviously I was kind of in no man's land between P2 and P4. But race 2, when I was behind who was it again? Andrew Pike. It's just going through turn 5 and 6, the fast chicane, and the turn 7, the fast right-hander. It's uncomparable compared to when you're going through on your own. It's just so different. You'll go in on your normal speed, but it's just it won't turn. It's like there's just no grip. It's like driving on ice through there behind someone. But yes, that's what it is. That's what being in the dirty air does to you. So just have to put up with it.
And how different is this challenge here going to be to maybe Hockenheim at the end of the season, but particularly thinking about Fuji coming up in 1 week's time, a very long circuit compared to this one especially. How are you feeling about going there?
Yeah, I'm feeling excited. I bought the track about a week ago, and I've done about at least 2 laps on that track. So going to need a lot of practice to get that track right, especially some of the tight corners. But I'm just hoping that the setup will do us well down the straight, especially in the draft. Turn 1's going to be a mega overtaking spot, but some of the corners I can just imagine with the aero wash, you're gonna be like a 10 to 20 kilometers slower than you normally are around those corners.
It's going to be very interesting indeed. Hayden, thanks very much for coming to join us here tonight in the booth, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Hayden Miller there, the 8th place finisher from race 2 here tonight. That looks like just about it in terms of interviews here, and as we were just saying there to Hayden here, James, it's a very different prospect, if you like, coming up in 1 week's time. The 4th Grand Prix circuit for Fuji is in 1 week's time, and that could not be more different to what we saw around here. And as he said, that slipstream and that overtaking opportunity into turn 1 is going to be a stark contrast to what we saw today.
Absolutely. Fuji is a different kettle of fish. We're not going to see sub 1 minute lap times. It's going to be very, very interesting. So don't forget to stay tuned for that one. Sean O'Reilly interview James. We can only interview him if he jumps in the waiting room, buddy. If he doesn't, we can't just go and pull him on. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like he is here. But, you know, I'm not sure on the car track combo tonight. I don't know. I'm not sure. It was a bit like peanut butter and ham rather than peanut butter and jelly.
I've never tried either of those things, but I'm willing to suggest that peanut butter and ham is maybe not the one, to be honest. That depends on personal opinion.
Yeah, I've not eaten peanut butter and ham. That's what I mean. The stark contrast between peanut butter and ham, you wouldn't stick them together. Whereas peanut butter and jelly, obviously, or jam, you would. But yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if this worked for me. It was a good race, and it was a good couple of races. There was a few incidents, few accidents. 4 wide in the race 2. Well, I'm not quite sure how that was expected to work, but it didn't, and there was a collision. I just think, I don't know. I don't know. It was good racing, liked it, just not sure on the track combo.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a decent circuit, and I hope that Oschersleben returns on many more race calendars, if you like, throughout seasons to come, to be honest with you. But there you go. That will be just about it for us here tonight. Make sure you subscribe for the JPB YouTube channel to see all the other racing that goes on throughout the week. There's plenty for you to have a look at, so make sure you join us for those as well. For now, though, thanks very much for being tuned in here tonight. I've been Ewan Leary alongside James Parfitt, and until we see you over in Japan in 1 week's time, it's goodbye for now.